live from the new sports betting capital of the world.
You might be from Texas, but I'm from New Jersey.
Benny Ricciardi is here to break down the day's betting board for you.
Let's go, Jerry. Go!
Taking a first look at the day's bets, it's time for the FTN Betting Show.
Welcome to the FTN Betscast for Friday, June 24th here on FTN Bets, sponsored by our friends over at Sleeper. Sleeper is the fastest growing fantasy platform today with millions of players, and now you can win on Sleeper by playing in their new over-under game. It's super simple. So first, in any sport, you're going to choose two or more players that you like and pick whether they're going to go over or under their listed totals. So for example, could be something like the number of hits tonight in baseball or the number of strikeouts, maybe the number of runs scored. Then you're going to choose an amount of money that you want to put into the contest. If you pick correctly, you could win anywhere from 2 times your money all the way up to 20 times your money if you go 5 out of 5 and get them all correct. But the main reason why I'm excited about this over-under game on Sleeper, it's the only app where I can join in my buddy's contest and we could all play together. It has a built-in group chat where I could see what you're playing, you could see what I'm playing, and we could all see what the guy in our group who's won 3 days in a row is playing so that we can follow him and play along. It's insanely fun when you have everybody riding it out together and rooting for the same things to happen. So stop what you're doing now and download the Sleeper app to play in their new over-under game, have some fun with your friends, and win some money in the process. On your mobile phone, you can join our listener group on Sleeper at sleeper.com/FTNbets, and Sleeper will automatically match your first deposit up to $100. Again, go down to the description in this podcast, sleeper.com/FTNbets, and you get a $100 match on your first deposit. There are terms and conditions that apply, so you got to see Sleeper's terms of use for those details. Today is a bittersweet day for me. Not only is it the end of the week for us here, but it's the end of our first week of doing our NFL betting previews for 2022. We started with the AFC East, and as all of you who know me know, I saved the worst for last, my favorite team, the New York Jets. The Jets last year finished with a 4-13 record in 2021. They played a bunch of games without their starting quarterback. Not that that made much of a difference, as we'll get to in a little bit here. Let's see. They had a very tough strength of schedule last year. They have a tough strength of schedule this year. It is theoretically a little bit easier, but, you know, again, tough is a relative word. When you're one of the worst teams in the league, every game is going to be a tough one. So the Jets are always going to have a tough strength of schedule in that respect, but it is a little bit softer than it was last year, but still one of the tougher schedules in the league. The Jets win total this season is, let's see, it's 5.5 on some books. It's 6 on some books. It's 6.5 on one book out there. So let's start with the 5.5 total, because that's the number that is kind of the prevailing number out there in the market. So the Jets are projected to go over 5.5 wins this year, which is a nice thing. The over on this is the cheapest you can find. The over 5.5 is -155 on BetMGM. FanDuel has it at -160. DraftKings has it at -165. So the market is right there in that -155 to -165 range. Over 5.5 wins for the Jets, meaning they need 6 to win this. -155 is the number there. So I guess that's good news, right? Like the Jets, as a Jets fan, you know, my fellow Jet fans out there, we're projected for over 6 wins. Now, again, is that going to make the playoffs? Is that actually a good season? No, but we had 4 last year. So that's projected for 2 more wins above what they had last year. And again, at -155, it's a pretty good chance that it's going to happen. We're talking over, I don't think it's over 60%, but it's, you know, 57% or so, 57% chance, maybe 56% chance that the Jets are going to get over 5.5 wins, which again, as a Jet fan, we're going to take that as a positive here. Now, the under on the Jets, +135 for under 5.5 wins. FanDuel and DraftKings have it at the low there. So, you know, if you want to play the Jets for under 5.5 wins, +135 on FanDuel and DraftKings would be the place to go to get that there. Now, like I said, they did have some books that moved this up to 6.5 already. PointsBet is one of those books. They have it at 6.5 wins for the Jets. The over is +180. So again, don't get too excited here, Jet fans, because at +180, they're saying they're giving us like a 35% chance to win 7 games, although we have a 57% chance to win 6 games. So that's really the way it works out. If you want to do like an over 7.5 wins, that number is probably going to be, I don't know, it's going to be very small. It's going to be somewhere in like the 10 to 15% range, maybe. So you're probably looking at like a, I don't know, it's going to be a big jump at that point. It'd probably be like a plus, what would that be, like plus 600, plus 700, something like that if you wanted to go there. So again, 8 wins and a 17-win season is not going to get you into the playoffs. So, again, the Jets' chances of making the playoffs this year, very, very small. And we'll give you the number on that in a minute as well. The last thing I wanted to talk about is there are some books out there who put this number at 6, and I hate that. Like I like when there's a hook one way or another. I don't want to push on one of these bets. Either give it to me or take it away from me. I don't want to wind up with a push after having to have my money sitting somewhere for 17, 18 weeks of a regular season. So let's see. Unibet, Bet Rivers, Sugar House all have it at 6 wins for the Jets. They have it at standard juice, minus 110 to the over and to the under. The 6 is probably what the number should be here. Like I said, 5.5, you're getting it juiced up. I don't want to lay the minus 155 to go over there. And I don't want to bet on the Jets to go under just because my year will be bad enough if they only have 5 wins. I don't want to be rooting against them when they actually win a 6th game. And then I can't even enjoy that. So I'm not going to be betting it. But if you're asking me where the value is still on the under, I think. Plus 135, FanDuel, DraftKings. Under 5.5 wins for the Jets. I mean, listen, they have 2 games against Miami, 2 games against New England, 2 games against Buffalo. We're not beating Buffalo. We never beat New England. And honestly, we usually grab at least one of the 2 games against Miami, but on paper, Miami is just way more talented than us. And, it is what it is. If we beat Miami, it's going to be maybe beating them at home. So at most, they're going to get 1 out of 5 wins in their conference. So you're basically saying for the Jets to get there, they have to go 500 in their out-of-conference games. And the Jets going 500, it's a lot tougher than you think it is. I don't really think this is going to be as easy a number to get to as most people think it is. And again, at minus 155, there's no enticement for me to take the over here. So I'm staying away from betting on any of the Jets overs or under season win totals there. So will the Jets make the playoffs? Again, like we said, for the Jets to get to the playoffs, they'd probably have to win, 9, 10 games, probably 10 games. I think this year is what it's going to take. I don't see them getting there. So Jets make the playoffs. Yes, is plus 700. 0 chance I'm getting there. That number under 1,000 it's an insult. So, I mean, like, honestly, it's plus 700 is not something you should be betting on. Even at plus 1,000, I would really have to think, do I even want to take this chance here? But to be honest, the Jets' chances of making the playoffs are probably less than 9%, which would be plus 1,000 there. So if it's less than 9%, even at plus 1,000, I don't think the odds are good enough. So plus 700 on DraftKings, it's plus 625 to plus 650 on the other side. It's just it's like 30% below where I would even consider it being a thought that we would have to entertain here. So no way in hell are we taking that number for the Jets to make the playoffs. Plus 700, not big enough for us to even be interested. Let's see, the Jets to win the AFC East. So we talked about the AFC East. This is the last team in the AFC East here. So you had odds of like plus 450, plus 500 for Miami and the Patriots. You had, negative odds on the Buffalo Bills to be the champion, who they likely are. They project for more than 2 wins above everybody else in this division. And the Jets are projected 3 wins below the second and third place teams in this division, and more than 5 wins below the team that's expected to win this division. So the chances of them winning the division are incredibly slim. Plus 2,200 on DraftKings is the number that's out there in the market right now, which is like, again, I mean, I know there's only 4 teams in the division, but I just think that number is way too small. It's not something that I would even bet on as a Jets fan, as somebody who wants to see them do good. It's just not worth your money right there. That number would need to probably be almost double before I would consider it. Even at 30 to 1, I still think I would be on the fence. Above 30 to 1, I'd start getting interested. If it was 40 to 1, I would put a bet on it. But, that's, again, we're basically getting half of where it would need to be for me to be interested in betting on this here. DraftKings has the best price, though, plus 2,200 for the Jets to win the East. FanDuel has it at plus 2,000. The low price, the low man on the totem pole is PointsBet here at plus 1,500. I don't know what they're thinking. Maybe, I know they're in New Jersey and they're not in every state, so maybe they're just taking a larger amount of Jets money than other people are, and that's why they dropped it down, being that they are available in New Jersey, and maybe that's the reason. But I have no idea why that number is plus 1,500. That makes no sense to me. Let's see. To win the entire AFC, the Jets are 85-1, plus 8,500 on FanDuel, plus 7,500 on DraftKings, and plus 6,600 everywhere else. So you are getting a good deal on FanDuel if you like the Jets to win the AFC. I mean, what are you getting? 1,900 basis points more than you're getting anywhere else. So yeah, I mean, FanDuel, if you decided you wanted to drop a bet on the Jets to win the AFC this year, FanDuel would be the place to drop it. That's where you're getting the best value on it. Again, 85-1, not enough for me to take that bet. It would need to be probably, I honestly, just off the top of my head, even below 100-1, I wouldn't even entertain it. But even at 100-1, I'd still have to sit down and be like, is this really a good number, or is the chances of the Jets winning the AFC less than 1%? To me, the chances of the Jets winning the AFC is probably less than 1%. So I would not be willing to put money on this, even at 100-1. Jets to win the Super Bowl. Speaking of things that are 100-1, there's a bunch of sites out there that have the Jets at 100-1, PointsBet being one of them. But the best price is actually 150-1. FanDuel, Sugar House, Bet Rivers, and Unibet all have the Jets at plus 15,000 or 150-1. I mean, listen, if you're a Jets season ticket holder, right, and you want better seats next year, here's what you do. That middle section right there, the what do they call it? The MVP lounge section, you know, where you sit outside, but then you can come in and they have all those carving stations there and all that. You guys that have been to MetLife, you know what I'm talking about. I think those seats for the season are like $350 each. So if you want to, as a Jets fan, if you put what, $25? Yeah, $25. You put $25 on the Jets to win the Super Bowl. If they win the Super Bowl this year, you have your money to pay for your tickets in the that middle section there, which again, in September games doesn't really matter, but it's very nice to have that little section. You can go and sit there and watch the games on the TV and warm up when you're going to those December, January games. Gets a little frigid there in MetLife at those times. So $25. So you know what? Put $50. You put $50 on the Jets to win. So I'm going to do this right now. As a matter of fact, as we're talking here on this podcast, you guys can hear me banging away on the keys here on my computer. I'm going to put in a $50 bet on the Jets at 150-1. This way, if they win, I get $7,500 back on that. And that pays for my tickets next year that would pay for my tickets for the 2023 season to go watch the defending Super Bowl champion New York Jets. It's a nice pipe dream to have here, guys, but really I'm just burning this $50. But I will do it anyway because I told my kid I was going to do it. So there we go. Here's an interesting one, though. Though I will not bet on the Jets Super Bowl, other than that $50 I just put there to pay for the season tickets in case it actually does happen. Worst regular season record, New York Jets, 4-1, plus 400 on Caesars. That's an interesting one that we can look at here. You know, again, maybe I'm a cynical Jets fan, but I'm a cynical Jets fan because I've been a Jets fan for 41 years and I've seen it happen often. This has been just a badly run organization. They, you know, tend to have an injury or two here or there, and those injuries tend to take a big chunk out of any chance of winning football games that we have, which is slim to begin with to go in there. I don't think it's crazy to look at the Jets as the worst regular season record. Again, I can't do it as a Jets fan because it hurts my heart. But the implied probability at plus 400 is that the Jets have a 20% chance of being the team with the worst record in the NFL this year. And again, it all really depends on Zach Wilson. I mean, the Zach Wilson that we saw last year is a guy that could wind up being the quarterback on the team with the worst record in the league. If he takes a step forward, like everybody says he should or he's going to and all that, he's got the weapons around him now. He's got a full year. He's got a better offensive line. So the excuses are less and less. So if this kid's going to do it, we're going to have to see this year whether or not this kid can do it. But if it turns out that this kid can't do it, worst regular season record plus 400 on Caesars, not the worst bet in the world for you to make. Honestly, as a Jets fan, I can tell you guys, it's probably one of the better bets that we've talked about here today. So there you go. Now we're going to move on and talk about some of the individual players, which I think is actually a lot more interesting than all the stuff we just talked about here with the Jets win totals and whether or not they make the playoffs or win the Super Bowl or the AFC or any of that stuff. So we'll start with the quarterback, that guy that I said is going to be so important to them this year, and that's Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson MVP plus 150 over on Caesars. It's down. It's plus 80. It's 80. It's only 85-1 on PointsBet. It's 150-1 on Caesars. It's 100 to 125-1 on all the other sites out there. But Zach Wilson MVP. If you're really a true believer out there, plus 15,000, 150-1 is the odds you can get there. No, I have zero desire to put that on. I don't know what PointsBet is thinking with that plus 8,500, 85 to 1 for him to be MVP. That's I'll name 85 players right now that I think have a better chance to be MVP than Zach Wilson. So, yeah, not taking that number even at 150 to 1. Most passing yards in the league. This one is really interesting to me. Caesars has this at 100 to 1, right? They have it at plus 10,000. But then you go down, and I mean, this is as low as plus 5,000. And like FanDuel, a book that I consider pretty sharp, has this at only 50 to 1. So Caesars at 100 to 1. There's a little bit of value there in that most passing yards for Zach Wilson. Now, again, we're going to get into the passing yards here in a minute when we talk about his passing yard total. But just think about it. If you agree with me that the Jets are going to be a bad football team, which, again, I think everybody out there should be agreeing with me on that. I don't think that's a very hot take whatsoever. Then you figure they are going to be behind a lot. And if they're going to be behind, then they're going to be throwing. The other thing, too, is like, remember, Zach Wilson only played in 11 games last year. So there is obviously room for improvement there. And, you know, they kind of had the kid bottled up most of the season anyway. Now, again, maybe it's because he wasn't very good. Maybe it's because the offensive line wasn't good. Maybe it's because they didn't try. I have no idea what the reason was. But, you know, you look at the games that they played last year. Like, here's some stats for you, right? In 2021, what did Zach Wilson play? He played parts of 13 games. He didn't play 13 whole games. A couple of those games he only played a little bit of. He got hurt or he came out or whatever. But he played 13 games last year, threw for 2,334 yards. Now, again, that's not good. That's not even 200 yards a game, right? He did not have a single game all last year that he threw for 300 yards. And before anybody says, oh, well, the Jets offense sucked, that's why he didn't throw for 300 yards. Mike White had a 300-yard game as a Jet last year. Josh Johnson had a 300-yard game as a Jet last year. As a matter of fact, the only quarterback who didn't have a 300-yard game as a Jet last year was Zach Wilson. And he was the one who played the most out there. So, again, I'm not saying the kid can't do it. Obviously, there's something they saw in him that they made him the number 2 overall pick. And there's a whole bunch of things that we could say there. I'm just giving you guys the numbers to understand how bad it was. So 13 starts or 13 games he played in last year. He only threw for over 200 yards, not 300 yards, 200 yards in 7 of those 13 games. So basically about a little more than half of the games that he played last year, he threw for 200 yards. Now, why do I say this? I say this for 2 reasons. One is because we are going to talk about his passing yardage prop total here in a second. And 2, the other reason why I'm saying this is we're going to talk about a couple wide receivers. You know, Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, Garrett Wilson. The Jets are, for the first time that I can remember, probably since like the Wayne Corbett and Keyshawn Johnson days, the Jets are going to have multiple pass catchers that are getting drafted in fantasy. They're going to have multiple pass catchers who the books even bother to put up things like reception props and touchdowns props and yardage props for this year because, you know, let's face it. I mean, nobody was getting those Keelan Cole props last year, right? Like the Denzel Mims props were not, not anything that was kind of popping off the page at you unless you were looking to play some unders on that stuff. If the Jets don't open the offense up a little more, then none of these guys are gonna live up to whatever hype they have, however little or however much it has been so far this year. So I do think that Zach Wilson is going to see a bump in passing. I think they are going to throw the ball more. I think they're going to open the offense up a little more. I think they kind of have to, right? Like his rookie year, I think they just kind of tried to protect this kid. And honestly, it didn't work. It was an absolute disaster. It made it look like the kid can't play. And I do think the kid can play. Now, can he play at the level that they're going to need him at to be a playoff team, a potential Super Bowl winner down the road? Definitely not this year. But, I don't know. I don't know if he'll ever get to be that level. But I do think he's better than what we saw last year. So I will say that. I'm at least giving the kid the benefit of the doubt right now. With that being said, the total passing yard number for him is basically 3,600. It's 3,599 and a half yards, right? PointsBet is the place that I have it. They actually even have it juiced to the over. It's minus 125 to the over, meaning that they're expecting him to get over 3,600 yards. And again, for him to do that, he would have to throw for over 200 yards a game, something he didn't do last year. He'd have to have a big game here and there. Hopefully he gets his first 300-yard. Oh, God, please, hopefully he gets at least one 300-yard passing game this year. But the over is at minus 125, so people are expecting him to throw 36, 3,800 yards maybe is kind of what the expectation is at that minus 125 number. It's not minus 115. It's not standard minus 110 juice. It's juiced up. So people have been betting the over on that with Zach Wilson. And again, he has to stay healthy, right? Like that's the caveat with a lot of these guys here. if he stays healthy and plays the full season, it does look like he's expected and projected for over 3,600 yards this year, which would be nice to see as a Jet fan. So let's skip over to the Jets draft picks here. Let's talk about them in order, right? Well, actually, we'll skip. No, you know what? Yeah, we'll skip defense for now. I want to start with Garrett Wilson, the wide receiver. So this was the number 10 overall pick for the New York Jets. He was the second wide receiver taken off the board in the draft here. He is plus 1,000 to be the offensive rookie of the year. So 10-1 on FanDuel and BetMGM. He's 9-1 Bet Rivers Sugar House Unibet. 850 on PointsBet, and plus 800 is the low on him over on Caesar. So anywhere between 8-1 to 10-1 on Garrett Wilson to be the offensive rookie of the year. The best price, FanDuel, BetMGM, with that plus 1,000, 10-1 payoff there for him. Interesting thing there, because we're going to talk about another guy in a second who I actually prefer as my rookie of the year, and they're on the same team here. And that's the problem that I have here with Garrett Wilson. And here's the other problem that I have with Garrett Wilson. And we'll kind of put it together with his receiving yardage prop when we talk about that. So the receiving yardage prop for Garrett Wilson is 724.5 yards. PointsBet has that juiced up both ways on minus 115 to the over or to the under on basically 725 yards. Now, you might be saying to yourself, well, 725 is not a crazy number, right? But here's the deal. The Jets now have a 3 wide receiver set that they're going to be playing with. They brought in a bunch of tight ends who are pass catching tight ends, guys that they're expecting to be getting some targets as well this year. Last year, if you look back, do you know who the Jets' leading receiver was last year? You could probably guess. It was Elijah Moore. That's not a crazy guess there. But do you know the number that he had? That's the crazy part of this. 538 yards is all he had. And that's all he needed to be the Jets' leading receiver in 2021. Now, remember, Elijah Moore did not play every game last season for the New York Jets. I think he only played in 11 games, was the most that he played in there. So that number is probably only about 66% of the season. Let's say he stays healthy this year. So that's going to give him, probably another 50% bump on that number right there, because he'll play another 5 games. So you're looking at like another 250 yards. That would put Elijah Moore, the leading receiver on the Jets, at about 788 yards there. Now, again, we also said that Zach Wilson is likely to see the offense open up a little more, likely to get more opportunities to throw, likely to be able to air it out a little bit more. So you could think that the leading receiver on the Jets may get close to 1,000, if not 900 or something like that. If you think Garrett Wilson is going to be the leading receiver on the Jets, then yeah, maybe this is a number that you want to play the over on. But you do have Corey Davis there still. You do have Elijah Moore there still. We don't know how the snaps are going to play out. Like, obviously, I think Wilson's going to be on the field a lot. But you know what? I think Corey Davis is going to be on the field a lot, too, because they traded for him. They pay him a lot of money. I think Elijah Moore is going to be on the field a lot, too. They used the second-round pick, a high second-round pick on him last year as well. So it's not like any of these guys are not going to get their opportunity. And I think the fact that there's 3 of them means they're all kind of getting an opportunity. If Wilson turns out to be the alpha, then I think there's a chance that he goes over this number. That's basically the way I'm going to say it. What are the chances he turns out to be the alpha? I don't know. I mean, it's probably better than 33, but I think it's less than 50, because I could see any of these guys actually becoming the favorite target. So I don't know. I just don't see any reason why I'm like super excited about taking the over here. Now, would I take the under? Probably. I think the under is the better bet that you can go there. Because, again, the second leading receiver on the Jets last year was Corey Davis, and Corey Davis only played 9 games. Now, here's the thing, though. In those 9 games, Corey Davis had 492 yards. If Corey Davis plays an entire season, he's got 900 to 1,000 yards. That's what he was on pace for. That's where he would have projected out at. So, again, it's just another reason why I like the under a little more on that receiving yardage number for Garrett Wilson, and the reason why I'm staying away from him as the offensive player of the year here is because Corey Davis would have been the alpha. He would have been the number 1 last year. He was on pace for that. I don't think a rookie's going to jump ahead of him and take that role. So at best, I think Garrett Wilson is the wide receiver too. And then you look at a guy like Elijah Moore, who, again, was their best receiver last year, was their leading receiver, was the most explosive guy when he was out there on the field for the Jets. And all of a sudden, we're just going to say, no, Garrett Wilson's going to get all those targets and he's going to get pushed to the wayside. Like, no, I don't think it's going to happen. I think these guys are going to wind up splitting the volume. If I had to pick a guy who gets the most targets, assuming everybody stays healthy, I would have to go with probably either Elijah Moore or Corey Davis over Wilson. So, again, the under is probably the way to go here. The only thing that I'm really interested in. And that also shows you just how bad the Jets offense was last year. So the guy that I do like, though, for the offensive rookie of the year is going to be his teammate, the Jets' second-round draft pick, and that's going to be running back Breece Hall. So we're already hearing things out of camp that, you know, he's the Batman and Michael Carter Jr. is the Robin who's playing like, you know, second fiddle with him there. So it does look like it's going to be his backfield. So that's a good thing there, right? Let's see. He is plus 900 is the best number you can get on him. 9-1 to be the offensive rookie of the year over on PointsBet. There are a couple books, FanDuel, MGM, Caesars, all have this at plus 800. So 8-1 rookie of the year for Breece Hall. Unibet, SugarHouse, Bet Rivers even have it as low as plus 700 for him, 7-1 to be the offensive rookie of the year here. So again, if he's going to be the lead back for the Jets, you know, the Jets did run the ball over 300 times last year. Now, they split it up amongst a whole bunch of backs. They do still have Michael Carter Jr. there. I would expect him, like, this is the thing, right? If they, let's say they run the ball 325 to 350 times, right? Like, that's about what they ran it last year, I think, off the top of my head. So let's say you go with a 60-40 split, right? Well, a 60-40 split would mean you're getting about 200 carries for Breece Hall. What if they went like 66-33 split? Well, now you're looking at closer to 250 carries for Breece Hall, which is very impressive. Plus, he'll probably get, I think Carter's going to get a lot of the passing down work, but it's not like Hall's not going to catch any passes. He'll have some of them as well, which means he could have a 300 touch season. Now, if they go heavy on Breece Hall and it's like a 70-30 kind of split here, well, now we'd be talking maybe even over 250 carries to go along with, you know, maybe 30 receptions or so. Now we're talking 300 and, you know, 300 total touches, probably 12 to 1,500 total yards, maybe, you know, 4 to 8 touchdowns, 10 if it's a really good season, something along those lines. Those are numbers that can win you an offensive rookie of the year. I don't think Garrett Wilson can put up the kind of numbers that like Jalen Waddle did last year, right? Like 104 catches, 1,000 yards there. I don't think you can get that out of Garrett Wilson, but I do think you could get a total like 1,400 yard, you know, 30 catch, 7 touchdown season at a Breece Hall. And that might be good enough to win him a rookie of the year award. So rookie of the year, Breece Hall plus 900 on PointsBet. I think that's worth a bet. Of all the stuff we've talked about here, other than that worst regular season record thing, this is probably my favorite bet to take with the New York Jets here today. Breece Hall, offensive rookie of the year, plus 900. Another one that I think is interesting, though, is rushing yards. Now, again, I'm not talking about most rushing yards in the league. They do have that one out there. He's 8,000 on Caesars, most rushing yards in the league, 5,000 on PointsBet, 4,000 on most of the other books, like FanDuel, who I respect, Unibet, Bet River, SugarHouse, all has it at 40-1 that he would have the most rushing yards in the league. 80-1 on Caesars, again, probably a little bit of an elevated number. If you wanted to throw a couple bucks on that, you know, you got a free $10 bet or something, and you're looking for something to root for as a Jets fan. I think the Breece Hall most rushing yards of any running back in the league is worth a little $5 or $10 fun wager, but definitely not something I'd be putting any of my units on or something that I would, you know, be making any sizable bets with. 824 rushing yards, though, that's an interesting one. Because if you run for 50 yards a game in 17 games, you're going to get 850. So what you're saying is that he's going to average like less than 48 yards rushing per game. Now, Breece Hall has breakaway speed. He's a guy that they're expecting to be the workhorse. You know, in a game that the Jets were winning, this could be a guy that sees 15 carries. He could run for 110 yards. If he does that 2 or 3 times, I mean, he's basically halfway to this, you know, 824 yard number there. So if he stays healthy for the entire year, I think the over on this number is probably the way to go. PointsBet has it right now, minus 115 to the over and the under. I like the over here on the Breece Hall rushing yards. Again, you know, we talked about the numbers he would need and possibly be able to get in order to win an offensive player of the year, offensive rookie of the year, not offensive player of the year, but offensive rookie of the year. And, we're talking, 1,000 yards rushing, if not more, to go along with 200-300 yards receiving on like 20, 30 catches, maybe 200 yards receiving on 30 catches and like 900 to 1,000 yards rushing. Like, I think that's fine. I think that is a reasonable expectation over a 17-game season for the starting running back on just about any team. So I think that Breece Hall over 824.5 rushing yards is a good bet. And I think that the offensive rookie of the year, 9-1 plus 900 on points bet, also a good bet there. So when I look at the rest of this team, right, like, again, what else can you really look at here? Do you want to take Corey Davis? Corey Davis, maybe for his over receiving yards, because like I said, he did have 492 in 9 games last year. He got hurt in that 9th game, didn't play after that for the rest of the season. He was on pace for over 900 yards. So if his number comes in at like 825 or 840, I haven't seen a number posted yet on his receiving yards for the season. But if he's going to be there from game one, I don't think that's a crazy number to look at there. Elijah Moore, I'd be a little more hesitant on. Not that I don't love Elijah Moore, but just, again, with so many mouths to feed here, like if Elijah Moore comes in somewhere around the same as Garrett Wilson at like, 725, 750, I'd probably take him. If it's 800 or above, I don't know if I would be able to pull the trigger on that. If the number was like egregiously low, below 800, then yeah, I think I would be interested on Elijah Moore. If it's above 800, though, I'm probably going to be staying away. So the last guy we're going to talk about here is the Jets' first draft pick, hopeful defensive rookie of the year, Sauce Gardner here. I just wanted to throw those numbers out there for you. 10-1 is the number there, plus 1,000. FanDuel, MGM, Caesars, plus 900 over on PointsBet. I mean, listen, in order for him to win this award, he'd have to put up numbers, which means that teams would have to throw his way, and he would have to be making plays, getting interceptions, maybe knocking some guys down and picking up a couple fumbles and taking them to the house, or, coming on some crazy corner blitz that they call and getting home to the quarterback. These are the things, like, you need stats in order to win some of these awards, right? Which is why I give a guy like Breece Hall, despite being a second-round draft pick, a really good chance to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, because he's going to be put in a position on his team where he's going to be able to get stats. He's going to put up a lot of yards. He's going to get a lot of touches. And there might be other players who are more talented or better, but they might not get the opportunity to show it in year one. Hall's going to get the opportunity to show it. So I think he has a chance to do it. It's tough for me to envision a cornerback winning this award unless he goes out there and turns into like a shutdown corner in year one, which again is what they drafted him so highly to be, right? Like that's kind of who people think this guy is. But he'd also have to be a playmaker making some plays, because you're going to get some linebacker who has, 100 and something tackles, and you're going to get some defensive lineman who finishes with, a half dozen sacks or so as a rookie. And those are going to be the guys that people are going to gravitate towards when they're voting for Defensive Rookie of the Year. The stats, again, it doesn't mean that guy's the best player. It should have been a number 1 overall pick. It just means that he had the best year in his position, which is what you're supposed to reward there. So, again, I love Sauce Gardner. I think it was a great pick by the Jets. I'm really happy that they have him. I will be getting a New York Jets jersey with the number 1 and the word sauce on the back or something like that. But at the time being 10-1, I don't really think there's good value there. I don't think there's good value on either of the Jets' 2 first-round picks to be the offensive or defensive rookie of the year. But I do love Breece Hall, their second-round pick, as a guy who has a good chance to be the offensive rookie of the year, assuming that he stays healthy, given what we know about the workload that they've, kind of envisioned for this guy. So there you go. That's going to wrap it up for today's edition of the FTN Betcast. I talked about the Jets so much, I'm literally losing my voice right now. So I need to go drink some water, and I'm going to get going here. Remember, check out our sponsor over at Sleeper. Get over to FTN Daily, FTN Bets, or FTN Fantasy. Use promo code Benny. You can save 20% off the already lowered early bird price right now. Get in on that early bird price. I think July 4th is usually when that price goes up. Get the cheaper price now. Use promo code Benny. Save 20% off. You're not going to get the package at FTN any cheaper than you could get it right now by doing those 2 things. Take advantage of it. Go over there and check it out. So there you go. That wraps it up for today's FTN Betscast here at FTN Bets, sponsored by our friends at Sleeper. Good luck today, everybody.
Live from the new sports betting capital of the world.
You might be from Texas, but I'm from New Jersey.